Hello, I want to show you the NFT generator I wrote, and it is in its function very similar to Hashlib's art engine. You're probably familiar with the software, but it has some different design decisions and a different design philosophy. So you don't need to code anything to use it, and you do not need to install any prerequisites. You just have to extract the package and you're good to go. So no additional software needs to be installed. Also, one of the main things is it's a shit ton faster. It's really, really fast. And this is only the first version, and it will probably get even faster in coming versions. The reason I made the software is because I need it myself. I'm working on a collection for a game I'm working on, and I can show you some how I generate the collection for the game. But yeah, it's not done yet. There's still a lot to be done on the collection, but I can demonstrate to you how the generator works by this collection. So we have here this CatBit NFT generator, and for now it does not have any GUI. So if you start it, it says you're missing the collection input JSON file. And the reason is it needs some informations about how to generate the collection, and this is a JSON file. So you can name it however you want, and you can set up here how you want your collection to be generated. I will talk about what most of these values are in a bit, but there's also like a manual file which describes every single one of these values. First, let us just do a quick collection test. We just generate a collection. So I take the file and I drop it on the generator, and it will load everything and it will generate the token images. And that was pretty fast, as you can see. Generated 100 tokens, and these are high resolution. These are 2048 by 2048, so pretty decent, pretty high resolution for an NFT actually, and that was pretty fast generation, I think. So after generation is finished, you have the generated folder here, and there are your metadata JSONs and your token images. So if you open the token image, here's like one we generated, so you can see it's pretty high res, and yeah, it did it pretty fast. And that's how the JSON looks like. Also, there's one thing that's also special, like a difference to Hashlabs. The DNA on the metadata is not a hash, as you can see. It also uses hashing internally to check for doubles, but it does not use this hash for DNA. So this DNA can be reversed, and this feature is not yet in the generator, but it will be in one of the next versions, where you can input like a metadata file and a collection info file, and it will regenerate the token image from it. So this is useful, for example, if you just changed the source images and you want to regenerate it. Also, someone you're using your NFTs on a project can use these to determine trades, even if the trades are hidden, because some trades you may want to hide from marketplaces, but they may be interesting for other projects to look into them. So now let's take a look in the collection info file and let's talk about a little bit about it. So also keep in mind this is a very first release. This is version 0.01. So don't expect this to be feature full. There is some stuff in there which Hashlips does not have, but there's a lot missing which Hashlips does have. So, but this is very early in development, and more features will be added, of course. So, for example, there are no like relations and restrictions between trades, and this is something which will be addressed soon, because I also need it, obviously. So the thing is, you don't need to code anything. It is completely data driven. You just set up data fields basically, and the generator will read these in and does its magic. So the first fields here, so I'm not explaining every one of these fields because you can read about them, but these fields are used for metadata for the tokens. And on token generation, you have some like broad information on how the token should be generated, like how much is the total supply and how much is the generated supply. So these can differ. You can generate less tokens than the total supplies. For example, if you want to have like 1/1 pieces or legendary pieces or generally handmade pieces, so you can just tell the generator to reserve some IDs. And this is by using the start ID. So this is the ID the generator will start generating from. Max unique checks is very similar to Hashlips. So this is how often it will regenerate a token if the exact same token has already been generated. And if it exceeds these tries, like 10,000 tries, for example, it will tell you that it can't generate a collection with only unique tokens. If you set this to 0, then it will not do a check and it will generate multiples of the same tokens, or potentially. It's not guaranteed that it happens, but it can potentially generate multiples of the same tokens. So pseudo-random generator, you can read about this in the manual. It's not that important, but just keep in mind by default the generator uses a cryptographically secure random number generator if it's present on your system. If not, it falls back to the pseudo-random generator. You need to set up the image input. So basically you have PNGs or JPEGs. It can read both in, but JPEGs only make sense for like a background image, because the JPEG decoder we use does not support alpha channel in JPEGs. So you want to have your images as PNGs with alpha channel, because they will be layered on top of each other basically. And these are the input dimensions. So it expects every image of your source to be the same dimensions, and you have to specify them here. It doesn't read them automatically, basically. Smooth resize, this is only, this applies like a filter to the, when it needs to resize to smooth out the image. But this is only used if you use a specific optimization we will talk a bit later about. Because this project is a lot about optimization, because I love to optimize things actually. So, and image output, like you need to tell how the image should be encoded and written. So you can have different dimensions and it will resize it. Smooth resize means it applies a filter to smooth it out. Like you don't want this if you use pixel art, obviously. Format could be, currently could be PNG or JPEG. Quality is only used on JPEGs. Pixel depth is the color depth in bits. So 24-bit would be 8-bit per channel, and this is RGB. So no alpha. If you want to have alpha in your final image, so transparency in the background, you would set it to 32. It's also valid to use 1-bit, so you only have 2 colors. 4-bit 16 colors, 8-bit 265 colors, and no 16-bit. The pixel depth 1, 4, and 8 are index colors and are useful for pixel art, and especially because the image is a lot smaller, but you have a restricted number of colors available. Dithering, you can also read about this in the manual. I think it's mostly not that important, especially if you are much into pixel art. And then you maybe want to do the dithering yourself and not let the generator do it, but it is available. So information about the metadata. So if you don't want to generate metadata, you can set this to false. Pretty print means it's better readable by humans, but the file is a little bit bigger. So you can, for your final collection generation, you can set it to false. Image storage, like where it is stored, and it will put the ID and file name after it. So, and here comes one interesting part, and this is optimization. So it can, a few optimizations can be applied. Use PNG Optimize. This is not a program I made, but someone else. And this will optimize your PNGs for size. And if you set this to true, after the images are generated, it will automatically run the PNG Optimizer. The PNG Optimizer can significantly reduce the size of the PNGs, but it will take a long time. So only use this on your final run of the generator. I use GPU, so this can actually use your GPU to faster generate the images. I recommend to have this false on your final generation and keep it on true when you are testing and previewing, because it is a significant performance improvement to use it, but it could degenerate quality depending on your drivers, depending on your settings. It could be perfect quality, so you can try it out, but it also could be that colors are a little bit off, or is there some artifacts or something happens, or that it uses smoothing filters when you don't want them, because it's like a driver setting which overrides settings I use in the software. This stuff is possible, and I can't guarantee that it is a perfect quality. So that is why I tell this to you, obviously. So use multi-threading. This is by far the biggest performance boost. I can show you generating without multi-threading. So this means it uses all cores of your CPU for various tasks, and this does especially speed up encoding and decoding dramatically, which actually the encoding of the image and writing it to disk takes longer than to draw the image, especially with used GPU. So this is where this comes in and basically saves the day, and basically speeds up like 10 to 20x the generation. Max worker thread counts, you can leave this at 0. So if it is at 0, then it will determine how many cores to use actually for generation. Otherwise, you can limit it to I don't know. I just wanted to use 2 cores, so I have a few more cores available for some work I want to do in parallel, basically. Max queued for saving. You can read about this in the manual. It's not that important. Use output dimension on generation. You can also read about this in the manual, also not that important. So here comes the really important stuff, the setup for the trades. And you basically have a trades array here. And inside of these trades array, you have your trade categories, basically. So, or your trades, let's say this is a complete trade. This is the category. Like we have a category of base here, and we have a layer of 20. Layer is is the order in which the images are drawn. So lower numbers are drawn first. So the order how they are written down in the file here doesn't matter. The number of the layer determines the order. a chance is how likely it is that this trade will be part of a token. 1.0 mean there's a 100% chance, it's guaranteed, and 0.0 means it will never be generated. So you can use, for example, 0.0 to temporarily disable a generation of a trade. Works fine. Hidden means it's not, if you set this to true, it's not visible in the metadata. So it will not show up on marketplaces and stuff. Sometimes you want this to, so it's not, for example, used in the rarity rank calculation or something. And variations of the trade are the different variations, right? Here we have only one. This is like a head base. A chance we have at 0, but this is ignored because we have auto weight at true. And this means this chance will automatically be determined by the generator. And since there's only be one trade here, the chance is 1, basically. So, and here's where the image is stored. And this is currently, this is always a subfolder in the same directory where the collection info file is. I also want to change that you can write here complete paths and relative paths, but for now it's just that way. So now we have some more setup here. And now let's take a look here. Eyes, we have like multiple ones, for example, and they are all auto-weighted. So that means they all have equal chance to be picked. What you can do is, this is really nice for, you don't need to calculate in your brain the chances for the chance to be correct actually and how you want them. So if I say, for example, okay, the red eyes should be the most rare, should be really rare, then I set auto weight to false, and then I put in here a rarity. And remember, it's from 0 to 1, 0 meaning no chance and 1 meaning 100% chance. So 0.01 would be 1% chance. And now since the others are auto-weighted, the remaining chance of 99% will be distributed evenly among these auto-weighted trades. And this is pretty nice. I can make this like 10%, right? And set this to false. And it will respect the 1%, the 0.01%, and it will distribute the rest between the others. Makes your life easy. You don't need to keep track of how much weight you already distributed. Like if you go over 100%, for example, and you increase the weight of something, then it may be not the expected rarity because your total weight will be over 100%, which is fine for mathematical calculation. But if your total weight is, for example, 120, and you set something to 20, it will not be a 20% chance because your total weight is 120. And auto-weighting will take care of all of this. Like if you end up with a chance bigger than 1 in total, the auto-weighting will correct all the chances and scale them down. And if you're below 1, it will top up to 1. This is actually an algorithm I use for item generation on the game Life Leech, and it works pretty well there. So I use it here as well. Yeah, I think there's not really a lot more to talk about. You can play around with it. As you can see, there are currently no relations between these trades, so I can't say if this trade rolls, then this trade can't roll. So this is something I want to put in definitely because I need it. And also a few more complex relations. Also, you can't generate something which is not bound to an image. So there's also something I want to put in, that you can generate numbers in a range, which will be trades and stuff like this. So I also want to show you the performance difference, right? So if I disable the multi-threading, for example, use multi-threading, let's save it up. And let's run it. And then you will see it will be a lot slower. See, this is a ton slower than it was before. So let's just kill it. Yeah. So just set it to true. So we see the difference here again. And yeah, that is with multi-threading. So you also see it's out of order, but that's fine because some images are faster generated than others. And yeah, makes a huge difference. And as far as I know, Hashlibs doesn't do this. And this is one of the reasons why it is a lot slower. Also, if you need features or anything, join the Discord. You can download it there. It's completely for free. You also can get the source code there, but the source code is for pure basic. And because I love this language, it's like a, how's the correct word? Like an obscure language, but it's really nice actually. And I enjoy coding it a lot. So, and since this is just a side project, I'm just working on like a few hours. It's I just want to enjoy the work I do on this, so I use this project. So if you want to compile it yourself, you can, but you need to get Pure Basic for it, which is not free, but it's very cheap. So if you want to buy it, you can go to purebasic.com and buy it, and then you can generate your own. Compile your own version of the generator, and you can also make changes to the source if you want to. So yeah, and these will be the portraits for Live Leech. But yes, still working on them. We have like a lot of traits are missing. We have only one kind of ear right now. As you can see, for example, here, like the eyebrow color doesn't match with the hair color, and it's, we need to have like relations between these traits, which currently are not in the generator, but you can see I need them myself. So that's some of the next features I'm putting in, obviously. So yeah, I think I've shown you how it works, and that's it. If you got any questions, join our Discord, ask them. If you want to download it, join our Discord, download it, play around with it, and yeah, tell me what you think. And see you.